Hey everyone, today we are going to be talking about disability living allowance, and we're going to be talking about the care component and also the mobility component as well. So the reason I'm doing this is that when I first saw the form, I was really freaked out by the form. Being dyslexic as well, I was just like, how can I fill this form in? So we went to see someone who would help us fill in Matthew's form with us, and he was only 2 at this time. So you can actually fill in the form from like 3 months if your child has a disability or you think they have a disability. As long as you can prove it, I think that is the majority of the time you will be able to claim. So today I want to go over, in order to get a high mobility payment, you need to have high care component. And how do you get that? Well, it depends on your child and also their care needs. So we're going to go over this now, and basically, like, one, if your child needs care like during the day and also at night, then you will be entitled to the high care component. So what does that look like now? Well, for like everyone it will be kind of different, and every time you fill it in it could well be different as well, because like our kids changed like over the years. The disability living allowance goes up to the age of 16. When they turn to 17, they then go on to PIP, which is personal living payment or something like that. So today I'm going to be talking about the disability living allowance for children like age from 0 to 16. And the reason this came about is because I was talking to a friend of mine, and we was going through the form, and literally she was like, oh, I never put that before. So what didn't she put now? Well, there was a lot, and in order, you probably have, or you may have not seen the form before. So you need to give as much like information as possible, and go into great detail and repeat yourself about several times or more. The more that we put on the form, the more the person on the other end reading the form will be able to decide whether or not your son or daughter is entitled to the care component as well as mobility. Now, mobility component is a little bit complicated, because when you go on to the thing, it's all about walking and stuff like that. So I found this, and my friend gave it me. It's from the Contact for Families with Disabled Children, and it's about disability living allowance, and about how like it's for like extra costs and everything. So the care component is to design to help those with extra costs of having care needs. The mobility component is designed to help with the extra costs of getting around. So think about your child, how they get around. Even if they can walk, I think it's important that we look on like the sensory kind of needs of your child as well. And I'm going to go through here. There has got some tests and stuff. So most children who get the high mobility component qualify on the basis of physical problems and severe restraint to their ability to walk. However, even if your child has no physical problem with walking, they still might qualify for higher rate mobility if they have a behaviour is very difficult to deal with. So a lot of children with autism and learning disabilities may show challenging behaviour because of their communication difficulties and because the lack of understanding they have for around the world. Having a severe impairment or behavioural problem, or being virtually unable to walk. What does that mean? Well, we're going to look into that now before we go on to the tests. So, virtually unable to walk. Some children who don't qualify for high mobility component of the disability living allowance on the grounds of severe impairment and behavioural problems may qualify on the basis of virtual unable to walk. The virtual unable to walk test look at the child's ability to walk outside and into account the speed, the manner of walking, and the distance covered. It's also look at the interruptions in their ability to make progress on foot. The interruptions must be part of a physical disability or a physical cause rather than being under conscious control. The DLA case law has accepted that autism spectrum disorder are physical disorders of the brain development, and some children with learning disabilities may have interrupted walking because of the physical cause, such as the brain damage or chromosomes, or genetic disorder such as a Down syndrome. Now, if your child can be put on foot in front of the other, but often stop walking and is unable to continue, you need to be able to show that. This type of behaviour is the result of known as a physical cause. The interruption in walking frequent enough that your child is walking is limited, so you can consider to be virtually unable to walk. For example, children with autism will often have a refusal episodes where they refuse to leave the house or go with their parents where they want to, or refuse to go any further while they are out. These refusals are down to not down to naughtiness or violence, and it occurs because of the extreme rigid of thinking associated with autism and the inability to deal with unexpected events. These refusal episodes can be seen as a temporarily paralysis of will, which will count towards the virtual inability to walk. If it can be shown that these episodes are frequent, sustained, and not easily overcome by coaxing, your child may be considered virtually unable to walk and awarded the high mobility. Although there is no set distance in law, a child may be able to consider as being unable to walk if they cannot walk more than 50 meters. So then it goes on. So it goes on about walking difficulties that could be short outside walking tests in a safe place with another person. It goes on to describe where to carry out the test. So basically, when I was writing out a form, I had no idea that this actually existed. I just wrote what I thought was right and what I see Matthew as. And to be quite honest, Matthew does stop, he does sit down, and as he gets older, it's going to be much more harder to get him up, and stuff. I've worked with adults and young people who are basically virtually unable to walk because they refuse to either go out of the house or they sit on the floor and they refuse to get up. But there are other tests as well. So I just wanted to go on to that because it does go on a fair old bit. And I just thought to myself, do you know what? I'm going to tell you guys about this because not a lot of people know. So we're going to go on to now the test, and this is another thing, like it doesn't actually tell you on the the Disability Living Allowance website about this. I had to find out this information by a friend, and I was like, oh right, so this is how they decide now. So the test, your child must be entitled to high rate care component. So top tips for this: 1, write everything down that your child cannot do and you do for them. Dressing, undressing, whether they wear pads or nappies. Do you clean their teeth? Do you have to bath them? Do you have to wash their hair? No, any personal care, do you have to clean up after them? What I mean by that is that, like, possibly like their bedroom, what if they smear? Do you have to clear up that? Everything. Do you need to feed them? Do you need to cut their food up? What about bedtime? Do you need to put them to bed? How many times do you need to do that? Do you need to settle them? How long does it take you to kind of settle them when they go to sleep? Now, what was it? During the night, when everyone is asleep, that's classed as night. So if your son or daughter goes to sleep at, say, 9 or 10 and you go to bed at 11, nighttime care would come under once everyone in the household has gone to bed. So for like example, if we go to bed at 11 and Matthew wakes up at, say, he's asleep, but he wakes up at, say, 1 o'clock, we are in bed, we are asleep, so we got to get up and we got to care for, say, him. So, and then you write that all down, like how many minutes it takes. If you don't know, grab yourself a pen and paper and start like deciding. Now, we know that sometimes our kids can wake up and they go back to sleep, and that's absolutely fine, but other times they do not. So you need to write that down. Be as detailed as you can. Communication as well, like how do they communicate? Do they understand? You need to put everything down. Everything. So we have high care for Matthew, and I'm not expecting that to change like anytime soon, because we do have to do everything for him. Like, yes, he can put his arms, like, say, through, what was it, his jumper, but we have to do that. Like, he can't put like a jumper on, he can't pull his trousers up, he still wears, say, nappies. So this is what I mean. And even if they can partly dress, you need to put that, but you are still doing it, say, for them. And that as much information as you can down in the care bit, so that you must have high care in order to get the high mobility. So that is test 1, and basically, so if you do that, then that would be good. Test 2, your child must basically, it's saying what I said earlier about the virtually unable to walk, but this one is incomplete physical development of the brain, is where a person's brain has not grown or developed properly and can be seen or assessed. Arrest of a development can mean a sort of emotional functioning delay or a lack of development, whether or not the brain is fully developed, as there is a physical cause, for example, a chromosome disorder or a physical cause. Disability Living Allowance case law has accepted that because of autism is a disorder of the brain development, children with a diagnosis of autism will be satisfied the condition of arrest, development or incomplete physical development of the brain. Global development delay could also be accepted as being arrest development or incomplete physical development of the brain. So basically, if you have a son or daughter with autism or global development and they have learning needs, they could possibly pass this test. And then it goes on about the IQ. Severe impairment of intelligence is generally taken to be a IQ of 55 or less. However, this is not only measure of the impaired intelligence. If your child is IQ above 55, they have not had a IQ test. The decision maker of the Department of Work and Pensions must consider the proof. For like example, children with autism may do well intelligence in tests, but may find everyday situations difficult. And it goes on. Severe impairment of social function, so it means when your child have difficulty in social situations, a child's ability and interest in playing with others can show impairment of social functioning, as well as they might behave or social situations. Many children with autism will demonstrate this, and we know that. Test 3 is really about behaviour. Must exhibit deserved behaviour, which can include running into the road, making loud noises, hitting out at people, throwing, breaking things, getting very upset, refusing to move. The word extreme in the DLA rule means out of the ordinary. So other behaviour could be dangerous, may also to be taken into consideration, such as touching hot or sharp like objects, putting like objects in their mouth, biting, scratching themselves or like others, banging their head and harming others. Then it goes on to tests. That was test 3. Test 4 is about your child must regularly acquire another person. This is about restraint. So physical restraint means the physical stopping of your child from doing something that could cause injury to themselves or like others or to properly. Physical restraint does not necessarily mean force. So like for like example, like I will be with Matthew and holding his hand, and then maybe as he gets older it might be his arm, just so that when we are like out and about that he doesn't go into the road. And so it's important to put this within your documents, and I'm sure that you have lots of examples as well. And this must be a regular kind of occurrence as well. So test 5 is your child must be unpredictable and require another person to be present, watching them when they are like awake. To demonstrate this, you would need to show that your child needs to be watched like over whenever they are awake, to prevent them from causing harm to like themselves or like other people, or damage to like objects or properties such as furniture, so like sofas, chairs, household appliances. You have to show that your childlike actions are unpredictable. If only display this type of behaviour in certain situation, for example in the crowded coffee shop, it would be unlikely that and difficult for this to pass the test. So basically what they are saying is that you have to demonstrate that your child needs to be watched over constantly at home, and that and not just when he or she is out. And I think for a lot of parents this would be the case. I know it's a case in our household, and that because Matthew does demonstrate this, and I do think that it's important to put like examples as well. So it also goes on, if your child can be left alone in a room with the door shut, it may be difficult to show that you meet this test unless you can show that you can check on them frequently. I think most of us know that if you've got a child with autism, and you know that, what was it, the say for example, the bedroom is a safe place, but like also you would check on them and you wouldn't leave them alone, and that, so it would be quite easy to put that, and I think it's just a case of demonstrating that like in your documents and that. um and that's it basically. I hope you have, I found this video important. What I will say is this: download this, go onto their website, or just Google contact for families with disabled children. I will try to put a link in if I can, and read it, because it does make sense and I think it is up to date. But if only they've put this on the actual government website would be useful. Because when we have a look at the form, often or not, we don't know always what to put. But the best thing to do is to read the form and then go, right, okay, I'm going to put this. So the care component, put like everything that you do for your son or daughter, everything. Now, if they got autism, explain about the communication difficulties, explain about their behaviour as well, because it won't just be the mobility bit, it'd be like everything. And yeah, and if you have to put like a extra sheet in or do something extra to write down, then do it. Make sure that you send in any documentation from professionals, and get your school to send, what was it, a little report as well. And I hate to say this, but when most of the time we as parents, we want to look on the very kind of positive kind of side of our child. With this form, unfortunately, and I know this because I'm doing this for like Rebecca, and it's very hard for me to do this form for Rebecca, because she's very able to actually, no, she's too able. So she will get low, what was it, a low care, because we don't do as much for her as we do Matthew. Like Matthew, we basically do everything. From cleaning, what was it, his teeth, washing his hair, washing his body, his nappy, everything. And so we have to put this, and when we go out, we have to plan as well. So it's not the case of, right, where can we go? Oh yeah, we can go there. Now I have to, kind of like in my head, plan whether it's going to be suitable for, say, Matthew. And also when we go places, I'm constantly, with him. I can't relax. And I think that's so important to demonstrate in the form, is that when you go out and about, can you relax? And for a lot of parents, we can't, because it's like we are on tiptoes, It's like if we have a cup of coffee and it's hot, and we can drink it, then that's amazing. But a lot of the time, what was it? A lot of our children will be, trying to get up, trying to go out and stuff. And so we have to come up with strategies and stuff for our children, so that we can have a cup of coffee and stuff. And sometimes, and with some parents, Matthew's quite good, but it used to be that we couldn't have a cup of coffee or any hot drinks next to him because he used to swipe it. Again, if that's your child, you need to put that down, Are they aware, of danger? Put that in the care bit, put that in the mobility bit as well. and repeat it over and over and over again, because you need to basically write a book about your child needs. They need to have a picture in here of like what your child can't do. And it's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking that Matthew can't do these things, and it's like we want him to do these things, and that, and it's like and cross fingers with the school that he goes to the wonderful staff who are working with him, and we've seen like great kind of like outcomes. He can walk more than he could when he first went, but he still refused to get up sometimes, and he will kind of go like this to say, pick me up, and as he gets older, we have to think about those things and think where we are going and what happens if we sit in the middle of the road and that. No, unfortunately, I have worked with so many kids and young people that I know all this, and I have to be aware of potentially how I think Matthew will be all right. Like his understanding is getting better, but it's like we'll still have to do a lot. Like he can walk outside and you can say to him, come to the car, but he doesn't always. And so, it's not like Rebecca, she understands instructions. So making sure that you put that in. Do they understand instructions? And if you think, well, yes, but then you have to think, well, how many times can you ask them to do something and they do it? And if it's less, then you need to put that, and you need to explain why. Always have a backup. Always say something. Now, I'm dyslexic. I'm absolutely rubbish at kind of words and stuff, and that's why it takes me nearly a week or 2 weeks to do the forms and that. But it is important to get it right. And when Matthew gets that means that we can help him get around a bit more. The care is extra nappies, is extra clothes, like everything, yeah. Because it's like we have had clothes that are ruined because of, I say accidents, and he does like at the moment to bite his end of the sleeve and that, and he thinks it's funny, But like all of these things, I do think that it needs to be written down, and you need to be clear about it, because if not, you won't get the rates that your child deserve. And remember, this is for your child, it is for them. And you like the extra cost that it costs for having their extra needs and that. Right, I hope you have enjoyed this video. There's lots more I could say. The next video I'm going to talk about the family fund actually, and how the family fund can help us as parents, and what is the family fund. Let me know if you would like that video, and I will do that video very, very soon. Take care, have a wonderful week, and hopefully I'll get over this coughing cold very soon. Ta-ta for now, bye for now.